Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Go Comedy. It's now time for Let's Just Say. Give it up for your host, Natalie Walker.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've already said this joke earlier, but I have to say it again for those who didn't hear. I pretty much know everyone in this audience, which means this is what it's going to be like at my funeral. Great. But thanks for coming. At least I know I feel supported. Love. Thanks. All right, so tonight is an amazing event because tonight is Let's Just Say, which is a monthly storytelling event where we have brave souls over here, some of which have never told a story on the stage before. And they're going to tell a story about the time they are going to be naughty or nice. And I see all your faces, especially you. You came here for the entertainment, you came here for the supporting, but you also came here for the judgment. I know that you're going to be looking at them and going, they were naughty or they were nice. Wishing they were naughty. Anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that if you haven't already gotten beverages, make sure you tip your bartenders out there. They're here to help you. And I also want to make sure that you give these folks a very large round of applause. Now, before I get them started, I'm going to tell you a brief story. And I actually have family members in this audience who can fact check me, because this is actually true. Now, most of my life I've been angelic. I know some, okay, great. But actually I have. I was always scared to do a lot of bad things as a child. I grew up in the 80s and there was a grounding and there were things and, you know. And so the one time though I decided to be naughty is that I decided I wanted to figure out what my Christmas presents were. And so I found the magical closet that had all of those things in there. And like as usual, after you find them, you are let down. Because then on Christmas Day, I had to act badly, which I was never a good liar, my face tells everything, when I opened up something and went, oh, great, thanks Mom and Dad, that was awesome. But here's the thing that's funny about that. Now I am much older than 5, we don't have to do the math, but I will tell you this, even to this day my mother will still bring up to me, now remember, I have your Christmas presents wrapped. Please don't look at them. She's still concerned that I'm going to try to take a peek. I'm like, I've learned self-control a little bit, so I'm good at it. So, anyway, I would love to be able to present to you our next storyteller. Now, I have the naughty list or the nice list here, because I like to commit to things. Okay, so, the first person on our list who's going to present tonight is a well-seasoned performer at Go Comedy. If you haven't been to Go Comedy, you're at Go Comedy now. Go Comedy is an amazing place. So, this person is not only the musical director at Go, clap, a local actor, clap, proud college student, and also my birthday twin. He has a really great birthday. Let's give it up to Jeremy St. Martin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So I kind of actually misunderstood the assignment. This is not about me being naughty or nice. I'm a gig musician, and so what that means, I play piano, I go around the area, and I play for theaters, I play for choirs, etc., that sort of thing. So my story is known as the Red Hat Ladies. How many of you know what the Red Hat Ladies are? Do you have any Red Hat Ladies in the audience? No? Okay, cool. Thank you. So the Red Hat Ladies, if you don't know who they are, they're a group of about 400,000 women nationally. And they're retirees, and they're very, very involved with cultural events. And their whole thing is based off like some sort of poem about how one day I'll wear a red hat and a purple dress or some shit like that. I don't know. I really don't know the poem. Anyway. So they're known for going to a lot of cultural events in the area, theater, concerts, etc. So a decade ago, I was playing for a friend for his dinner theater. And under contract, I was to play half an hour's worth of music beforehand, just like cocktail piano. And so there's two types, I noticed, of Red Hat. ladies. There's the Sunday matinee red hat ladies. And they're the ones who will go, they get there about 4 o'clock, they watch the show. They're very polite, they're very quiet, because they're like, literally, they're 85 and up. So it's just like time to watch the show and go home. And then there's the Friday night red hat ladies. Yes. And so it was a Friday night. It was the second weekend. I'm just playing piano. Now keep in mind, it was a vaudeville show. I'm wearing a costume, so I have like a shirt, vest, bowler hat, and on my left arm I have a red garter. And there, like right next to me, there's this round table of red hat ladies, and there's like 7 or 8 of them. So I will play, and every now and again I'll see someone in the audience that I know, and I'll give a nod or a wink or something like that. So I'm sitting and I'm playing, and if you know me, I blush really easy, really easy. So here's this table of red hat ladies, and I'm just playing. Oh, also on the piano I have a cup. It's which I put like $1 in. You can put tips in there, whatever you could request. So I'm playing, and I see out of the corner of my eye, they're all just smiling at me. They're rapt with attention. And so, I don't know where, at one point I'm playing, and I looked over and I gave them a wink like that, and they immediately went into red hat lady hug. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? What is about to happen to me? And so, I guess the leader of the red hat ladies comes over with this wad of cash, okay? And I'm expecting it to go into the tip cup. She yanks my arm, right, by the garter and shoves it in there. And then she says to me, it would have been so much better because I could have put it somewhere else if you were wearing a thong. Oh my God. These are the horniest red hat ladies I've ever seen. And they were like, literally, I think if I would have had my passport, then I would have been in Mexico with them like the next day. But they were so wonderful. Like, they got a picture with me afterward. They were just enamored with me. And because of them, and which, by the way, my face, as soon as she said that, turned as red as that garter on my sleeve. And because of them, just because of them, I had $100 in tips. Like, they got a fat wad of cash and put it in there. So backstage, later, I was telling this to my director friend, and I told him what had happened. She said, something about the thong. He said, you should have said, how do you know I'm not wearing a thong? I would have got double the money. So those are the nice red hat ladies and the naughty red hat ladies. Thank you very much.
One more time for Jeremy St. Martin. What Jeremy didn't want you to know is that he is accepting tips. Do ask for consent, please. But anyway, I'll give you his Venmo after. Anyway, so I'm never gonna look at a red hat lady the same. Mother, don't wear one. All right. Next on our naughty or nice list, and you get to decide, is going to be a well-versed storyteller. Has told stories at both the Twisted Storytellers as well as the Moth. This person also runs comedy shows at the Whole Hard Comedy in New Hudson. She's won lots of awards. And then she has shows coming up. She's got shows coming up in January and February, so catch her after the show to get those. And so I want you to please welcome to the stage Sarah Young.
Allow me to set the scene. It was this exact time of year, a bunch of years ago, and I was in the shoe department at Kohl's. So you just know this story is going to end badly. And it was the shoe department at Kohl's, and right before Christmas, so boxes were everywhere, and none of the stock that was supposed to be in the boxes was in the boxes, and everyone is frazzled. And there was a lady on her phone in one of the aisles. And I walked past this woman, and I didn't break her concentration from her phone. I didn't make her move. I didn't do anything, and as I walked past, I heard her mother say, "Excuse me, bitch." Thank you for the outrage. But you know, it was right this time of year, right before Christmas. Lots of people have bad days, and I could have let it slide. I, however, chose to turn around, tap the stranger on the shoulder, and say, "Can you hear me?" Oh yes, 100% true. And I am well aware that I'm going right to hell for that. But you didn't see the look of horror on this woman's face. I'd do it again in a heartbeat if I could. And you might think that that makes me naughty, and that's not the bad part of the story, you guys. The bad part is I continued this complete bullshit with this woman for 10 minutes. 10 minutes dragging this stranger around Kohl's looking for shoes that never existed. Merry Christmas to me. Now, this may put me on the naughty list with you guys, and I understand that. But I like to think that by Ebenezer Scrooging her, I made her go around and it'd be nicer to a lot more people. So I think in the end, I'm actually more nice than naughty. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Sarah. I know where I'm not shopping this year. Kohl's is on my naughty list. Anyway, okay. I also don't prescribe to the Kohl's cash. Sometimes my mother wants to disown me because she is likes the coupons and the specials. I know nothing of this. I don't know what happened, Mother. I don't know. Anyway. I am totally taking advantage that my mother is here right now because this is, she traveled very far to come, so that's really exciting. Also, I think my sister is here from Chicago, but she came in late. There's a reason why my sister isn't up on this stage. She has a lot of stories she could tell. Anyway, that's why she's in the audience. Okay, our next storyteller is an indie filmmaker who didn't even want to tell me anything about themselves. I was like, can you give me an intro so I can talk you up? Because I love being people's hype women, and I love being able to support people. And they were like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but I am going to still talk them up. Okay, so indie filmmaker who has YouTube storytelling shows and is also a former Ohioan. It's Ohioan. Let's clap for that. I'm saying. Let's give it up for Terrence. Say the word Ohio.
You know what's nice? First love. I mean, usually at least. I guess not always. For the purposes of the story, let's just agree that it is. My first serious girlfriend came about pretty much the same way all of my relationships have. Someone I had no real interest in or knowledge of, seemingly at random, ask me out, and then we keep going out until they give up on me becoming a better person. In this specific case, a girl in my 8th grade history class and I started a little bit of a flirty thing involving Pop-Tarts, which lasted through the school year. And then, over the summer, she invited me to her birthday party. It was your pretty standard junior high birthday party involving shaving cream fights, volleyball, and awkward living room dancing to bad music popular at the time. During this party, a friend of the girl in question pulled me aside and asked me if I would go out with the birthday girl. I was a bit torn about the proposition. On the one hand, this was a girl all both of my friends absolutely loathed because she was apparently quite annoying in elementary school. I didn't go to their elementary school, so this complaint was meaningless to me. But I also dreaded the reaction of my friends if we were to date. On the other hand, we had already kind of been flirting through the sharing of Pop-Tarts and homeroom, and it was her birthday of all days. Possibly most important of all, I had shown up to her birthday party without a present for her, so I had to make up for that somehow. And so we became an official couple. My friends did end up taking the news pretty much exactly as expected. To some degree, their frustration with this situation was understandable. For instance, I managed to convince my parents to take me to a concert for a pair of alternative Christian bands I was really into at the time, and they said I could bring one person. I could have chosen my friend Ryan, the first person to befriend me in public school, and a pastor's son who had a shared interest in alternative Christian music and the headlining band specifically. Instead, I chose my new girlfriend, someone who had no knowledge or interest in the niche world of this kind of music. Other times, however, I think their displeasure was a bit exaggerated, such as when I would spend a long period of time on the phone with her and they wanted to call me, but kept getting a busy signal. Did you know, if you tell the operator that it's an emergency, they'll disconnect the line that's busy and put you through? Well, my friends figured that out and had no qualms about faking an emergency. The frustrations of my friends aside, it was still my first serious relationship, and many moments were indeed quite nice. She was the first girl I ever held hands with, the sort of magic moment county fairs are meant for in the eyes of an innocent young teen such as I was. Later that week, she became my first kiss in my parents' garage as our chaperone, who was her younger sister, briefly disappeared to show her grandmother our kittens. In the fall, we attended a trip to Cedar Point with my church's youth group and spent the entire day walking around or riding the train. We didn't ride a single real ride, which is something that you can really only get away with doing as an Ohioan because it's probably the third or fourth time you've been there that year. Besides, the day wasn't a complete waste since it led to her and I exchanging I love yous for the first time, followed by our first naughty makeout session of the French variety. Something which, out of context, could seem a bit romantic, but the reality was that all happened in the middle bench seat of a van that included my parents in the front seats and my sleeping sibling and cousins in the back. All of this sounds nice and innocent enough, but not even a blossoming romance in one's freshman year of high school can be perfect. We regularly argued over the phone, and trying to encourage our friends to get along at the school lunch table was a hopeless task. She even dumped me a first time because she felt there wasn't enough trust in our nearly 6-month-old relationship. This was quite a surprise to me at the time, and due to undiagnosed depression, I didn't take it very well. I went so far as to approach the bonfire at our homecoming meeting with the intent of walking into it before collapsing on the ground in tears among a crowd of strangers. We did reconcile at the homecoming dance, though, thanks to a friend of hers and a slow dance to some cheesy pop country song. All of the power of a Leanne Rimes hit song can't fix problems that aren't directly addressed. She was naturally an outgoing and friendly person. That's how we got together in the first place, after all. I, however, was a jealous little cretin bolstered by a friend actively hoping to see us separated. So, not long after we got back together, I began to notice her spending most of her after-school computer lab time in chat rooms. Again, a perfectly normal and innocent thing for a friendly, outgoing teen in the late 90s to do. But in my eyes, it was a sign of something nefarious. And so, having learned nothing from our previous brief breakup, I recruited a friend to assist me in creating a chat room and email account for a fictional ideal male. That's worse. He then proceeded to contact and woo her through this Trojan horse and kept me up to date on her replies. This went on for a couple of weeks, and eventually I felt I had enough evidence to confront her as cryptically and dramatically as possible in our very public and full after-school computer lab. I first pretended to spy her conversation with my friend on her screen and then asked her about their relationship. She claimed innocence, but then I pulled up access to the fake friend's email account on my computer and essentially declared, "Aha! But what about this?" so that all could bear witness to her perceived treachery. Now, with the benefit of 20 plus years of maturity and hindsight, I realized this was an extremely shitty thing to do. At the time, though, it seemed not only justified, but ingenious. I left that room with an angry sense of accomplishment, and she followed shortly after in tears. I then graciously agreed to forgive her, and we remained a couple. for another month or so until I think she had time to process everything and reconsider our relationship, at which point she rightly decided to dump me once again, and to her credit, did not take me back despite another homecoming dance and a lengthy letter from me pleading for forgiveness. Now this all sent me into a depressive spiral that isn't entirely relevant to the theme of this story. Instead, let me end with something nice that came out of the implosion of my first serious relationship. Valentine's Day came around shortly after she dumped me, and I spent the day poorly attempting self-harm and sleeping before my dad offered to take me to the video store and to get pizza. That night, I rented a Corey double feature of Haim in Fast Getaway and Feldman in The Burbs. For the first time in a week, I felt happy and content and didn't spend time wallowing in misery. I spent that evening completely absorbed by the trials and tribulations of Tom Hanks as he tried to rein in the craziness of his neighbors and the conspiracies. I was fully invested in Corey Feldman's plight of showing his friends a good time while awaiting the arrival of the pizza dude. For an hour and a half, I lived in Hinkley Hills, and I too was suspicious of what those new Slavic neighbors could be up to at midnight. That Valentine's night, I realized Laura McCracken may have been the first girl I ever said I love you to, but movies and their power to transport you to another place and time, even if for just 90 minutes, were my first love.
Sure that Laura McCracken is not in this audience, right? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if this was a last attempt to try to get her. This is your love letter to her. I do think that most beautiful relationships do start in a middle seat in a van, making out. Like, I just think that that's just pure romance. So thank you so much for sharing with us. All right. Who is next on this list? I'm not trying to be dramatic. I really can't. Drum roll, please. Yes. This one has been added. This person was actually hosted, let's just say, and I know that he's judging me right now if I'm being naughty or nice with the audience members, like my mother. So I would like to recognize and bring up onto stage a very well-seasoned storyteller. Let's give it up for James.
Never tell if it's the upside or the downside of the scroll, can you? That was the one thing I wasn't judging that much. I was like, is there an arrow? I don't know. So as Natalie mentioned, I was added to the show kind of last minute, about 20 minutes ago. Ish, half hour, I don't know. So I had to think quickly about a story involving naughty or nice. I've told a lot of stories on the stage. My life's only so interesting. And I don't have a lot of good Christmas stories. And my job is, I'm a high school teacher. So a lot of times I think about, give it up for the teachers. It's almost done with it. But I keep thinking about one day I had laws in high school. As is the case for a lot of teachers, I was a straight A student. I was a golden boy. I kept it pretty clean in school. So I hit my senior year of high school, and I had never gotten like a detention, suspension, any sort of like disciplinary action. I kind of wanted to see if I could test the waters. Like at this point, I was getting too smart for my own good. And at my high school, there were 8 periods in the day. Right, this is important, maybe. I will find out. Second period, senior year, I had calculus. My buddy Sam walks into second period calculus class with a costume that I had lent him for the weekend. Now, this is like 2008-ish, so like, probably couldn't go with it now, but it was a Mexican style poncho that he had worn to a costume party the weekend before. He decided to give back to me during calculus. Now, I went to a Catholic high school, so you had to wear a tie and a dress shirt and like nice pants and like real shoes every single day. And weren't really allowed to wear anything else. But I decided that I was going to wear that poncho for the rest of the freaking day and see what the consequences were going to be. And it got weird. So I put it on in calculus. My teacher's like, whatever, who cares? Like, you guys are a bunch of nerds. Do what you're going to do. I'm like, sweet. So class ends. or maybe it's at the end of class, not important to the story. Put the poncho on, I'm walking through the hallways in this poncho, a bunch of other dudes in a high school where no one's allowed to wear a poncho, and walk into my next class where the teacher doesn't say anything. I sit there for 45 minutes. I am participating, hand up, write things, probably on paper or the board. I don't know. It was religion. I'm just like, okay, yeah, he thinks it's a sweater. Who knows? I'm not sure. But I get away with one class. I got like 5 classes to go. Awesome. Go to my next one. My next class was weird. It was an English class, but it was in the chemistry lab. Because the chemistry lab was right next to the teacher's lounge. And our teacher was like 80 and couldn't walk a lot. I'm telling you guys a lot about my childhood, but I'm really fired up about this story. So the teacher walks into the room, into the chemistry lab where my English class is, and the chemistry teacher is also sitting at her desk. And she looks up and goes, "James, what are you wearing?" And I go, "This isn't your class, you're out of your jurisdiction." I get it now because I'm a teacher. She went, "Yeah," and kept grading. It's like, that is exactly what I do every single day. So I sit down, and my 8-year-old teacher, of course, doesn't notice, because this guy hardly even knew what day it was, let alone what class he was teaching. So I get through period number 2, next class, lunch, easy. Walk into the lunchroom, there is one of the Spanish teachers in the building, standing, looking around at me, goes, "Nice." Walks away. Guy makes eye contact with me and says that to me. He is in charge of the school. I'm appropriating his culture, and he says, "Yeah, nice." It was awesome. Get food, totally clear. All right, that's 3 classes. I had 3 left, maybe. I don't know. It was so long ago. Go to my next class, which was my Spanish class. Holy crap, it's all coming back to me now. It was my Spanish class. Of course, the teacher wasn't doing anything there. Senora was like, "Muy bueno." I was like, "Sí." It was awesome. So I walked to my 7th class. This was songwriting. I don't know what high school I went to either, guys. Don't think about it. Of course, the songwriting teacher maybe it was inspiration. I don't know. Of course, I was going to get away with this in songwriting. He may have laughed. I may have told him the whole story. Music teachers don't care. Is anyone in here a music teacher? Cool. Oh, I know. Oh, 2. Oh, geez. I'm going to focus on this.
I'm a therapist. We care even less.
Right. Good point. Good point. Oh, geez. So my last class of the day was my physics class. Oh, which is kind of ironic because I teach physics now, and replaced that teacher. But I walk into his classroom, and I have the poncho on, my backpack. And he looks up at me, I look at him, he's like, "Hey James." I'm like, "Hey, Mr. Burns." He's like, "I heard about your little escapade today." I'm like, "Yeah, bet you did. What are you going to do about it?" He's like, "Dude, just sit down and take your quiz." Yes! Sit down, took a physics quiz, probably got a B, which is ironic given, I get that quiz now. But I got through an entire day in a Mexican poncho. I don't really know what the moral of the story is. I like to think it's that you want to pick your battles, because if you do dumb things early in life, you can't do fun things like wear a poncho to high school. And when you graduate high school, it's too late to wear a poncho to high school. So that's what I got. Thanks, guys.
My favorite part about that is the fact that he's a teacher now. So I have so many questions. Like, what would you do if a student came into you? They're the same thing. We don't want all the time. It's fine. I just think it's hilarious that you're like, well, I'll just do this, and then later I will have to punish other people like you. Great. All right, let's see who's next on our list. Actually, I know who it is now. Okay, I gotta read the description. Okay. A current Ohioan, I got that one down during break, thank you. And a current improviser. I've actually performed with him at Civic and as well as at and he's also performed at Go, which is We Are Gary, by the way. He does a show for a podcast, and he also is in a troupe called, hold on, I forgot. Seriously, it doesn't matter. It's actually called that. Sorry, I'm not actually sure. It actually is called Seriously, It Doesn't Matter. And he does have a show at Civic Ann Arbor Theater, so you can go see him. And this is Josh.
So I'd like to think that I've mostly inadvertently been kind of Grinchy in my life. I definitely once in my life was vertently Grinchy. That was, I was in high school, I was a freshman in high school, I was a member of a Jewish youth group, AZA, right? All my Jewish friends, very bored on winter break. We were supposed to be going to our AZA convention, but mainly what we did is drove around at night in Greg Starr's car, and we would drive through the neighborhoods of West Bloomfield, and we would stop by nativity scenes and we would steal the little baby Jesuses. We called this Grinching, which made sense, right? At the end of the week, we took them to Ben Geller's living room, set them up in the living room, plugged them all in, gathered whatever alcohol a group of 15 to 16-year-old boys can get their hands on, which was not a lot and weird stuff, but drank it and had our little party, and that was our big rebellion of that year. But that little anecdote that starts my story here kind of encapsulates the reality of what it's like being a Jewish kid at Christmas time. We're Jewish adult too. There's a lot of ambivalence. There's a little resentment, right? It's this big thing sitting on the end of the year. It's only gotten bigger over time. It's not our thing. It's other people's thing. It seems kind of fun, right? I mean, we had the party with the baby Jesuses, right? But it's not our thing, right? So you can't do it. So, but that, you know, was the time I was advertently a Grinch. But other times, it's been much more inadvertent. When my kids were little, it's happened with both of them at different times. Kids' friends, parents would come to me and my wife and say, you know, Emma told Ella that Santa isn't real. And in my head, I'm thinking, go Emma, Santa's not real. So yeah, like, why do you want to lie to your children? But of course, outwardly you pretend that you care and you're going to help them solve this problem. And oh, the poor little deluded Jewish child doesn't know about Santa or whatever that they're going to tell as a story. Right? I was actually the same parents each time, older daughter, younger daughter, the same age as my kids. So I think it, you know, the pretense that I gave a shit, you know, was less real the second time around. But you know, by the way, if there's anyone in the room who did not know that Santa isn't real, I'd like to apologize, but I can't because I legitimately do not feel bad that now. So then I was in the Peace Corps when I was younger. I was sent to Thailand, which you don't know is a Buddhist country, about 95% Buddhist, about 5% Muslim. Probably at this point maybe 1% Mormon. There were a lot of missionaries there when I was there. But so they're a Buddhist country. I get to my school, they're all excited to see me. Our American is here, they say. They're a little unsure because they think Americans all look like Hitler Youth, blonde and blue-eyed and tall, and I did not look like that. But they thought, oh, he's kind of an American. And our American is here, now we can have a Christmas day. They were so excited. And I was like, it's not my thing. That's not my religion. I've never celebrated it. I don't do that. I tried to explain. I got out my Thai dictionary. I showed them the word, like Jewish. It's in the dictionary there, but it's one of those words like we have words in English that no one knows. There's one, like the word amanuensis. Anyone know that word? I know one person who knows that word, and I'm dating her now, so. It means, by the way, jack of all trades, like Alfred to Batman as a kind of an assistant. He can drive the car, the Batmobile, he can run the computers, he can serve tea, he can do anything. Right? That's what it means, and you just learn something, so. Anyway, so yeah, that word, like I see it in the dictionary, but it means nothing to them. They've already put it on the calendar, they've already budgeted for it, Christmas Day is happening, so we're gonna make it work. They mostly planned it out, but we talk it through a little bit, them and their bad English and me and my bad Thai, and I agree I'm gonna help. I'll teach some songs. I grew up singing all the songs in school, a million holiday concerts where it was a lot of Christmas songs, and then the one, you know, oh, Hanukkah, come light the menorah, to pretend it's a holiday concert, not a Christmas concert. So I've done that. I even caroled with friends in high school. I'd go to Claire Skoski's house with her family of Polish linebackers and eat jello molds and go carol in the neighborhood. I would do that. So I know these songs. I can teach songs. Sure, no problem. And I also say, you know, there's this thing called a Secret Santa that I remember being fun in school. You pick names and you secretly give gifts and it could be really fun. Let's maybe plan on that. And so we agree. I'm going to teach songs and we're going to do a Secret Santa. So this is October when we're planning this, and then time is rolling around. Christmas Day actually comes there on Christmas. They have school, right? They're Buddhist. Their holidays are different and seasons are different. We had 3 seasons: hot season, hot and rainy, rainy and hot. So Christmas Day is coming, and it's the weekend before, and I'm like, is the Secret Santa thing happening? I don't really see anything going on, but maybe. I don't know. I won't claim I was super aware of everything going on in the school. And then the kids come to my house to learn the songs, right? It's a bunch of like upper level kids. And I think I got this. And I go to get them on Peace Corps manual. They give you this big book back then, pre-internet, right? And it had information for any job you could do with the Peace Corps. If you were a fishery volunteer, forestry volunteer, English teacher like me. And then the appendixes in the back had like lyrics to all the Christmas songs. Awesome. And of course, I go to get my Peace Corps manual, and it's locked in the school for the weekend. But I got this. I know all these songs. I sang them for years growing up. And then I realized as I started teaching the songs that, you know, the songs have more than a first verse. So for example, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And a Happy New Year. Right? So I just made up words to a lot of songs. The kids didn't know, right? Their English was not that good. It wasn't like they understood what they were singing. But they sang loudly and forcefully, with vim and vigor. We wrote out the words I made up. We were very confident. And Christmas Day rolled around. We got up to sing. And a bunch of other Peace Corps volunteers from, you know, anyone within a couple hours around came because they were all Christian. They were excited for Christmas Day to celebrate. And they all got up on stage to sing with my kids. And we had two competing groups singing two different, you know, versions of the songs. Now I'd like to think that, I mean, I know for sure the Peace Corps volunteers noticed. I'm pretty sure the kids noticed. Definitely the English teachers noticed. Maybe most of my students noticed, but hopefully not too many. I don't know. And then also I was thinking, okay, what, did the Secret Santa thing ever happen? And they say, and now it's time for the Secret Santa. And one kid comes out on stage dressed as Santa Claus. Well, I think they just looked up the word secret, they knew the word Santa, and they thought, oh, we will disguise a child as Santa Claus. And everyone will have to guess who it is. Now, two useful things to know about the culture there in the school is, one is, they're very organized, it's very tightly organized. You sit in rows by class, and then alphabetically by student, and one row has a gap in it, so it's not super hard. And then the other thing is, the way they are with appearances is that, you know, so like every American woman I know who worked in Thailand was called fat to her face every day. They just tell you, you know, how they see it, right? My girlfriend right in my school, one of my students ran up and was like, ah, John Josh, that means teacher, ah, John Josh, Amy is so fat. And I was like, oh, thank you, Wirasak. Yeah, so anyway, so, you know, who do you choose to be Santa Claus? You choose the chubbiest kid in the school. It's just logic, right? I mean, so everyone knew instantly who, you know, the Secret Santa was. I will say the one great innovation of the day that I liked at the end of the day is they had the Cool Santa competition. And they had one kid from every class dressed as the coolest possible Santa. So Santa suit, sunglasses, whatever other cool accoutrements you can imagine. I've never been cool, so I don't remember, you know, what cool accoutrements are, but they did that. So, you know, there's that. So now, you know, I'm here, I'm not in Thailand anymore if you weren't sure. And my kids are older. So Christmas is sort of this time of year when I just kind of avoid stores. Today was actually here. It was the first time I've heard any Christmas music this year, and that's a good thing. And I try not to inflict I wouldn't call it a dislike, it's just I don't love it. You know, every once in a while, you can invite me to your Christmas party, and I'll come, and I'll look at the eggnog and wonder what it is, but I won't touch it. And, you know, maybe I might slip one of the older kids a 5 and ask them to tell another kid that Santa's not real, but that's the chance you take when you invite me to your Christmas party. Thanks.
I have so much to unpack with that story, sir. Number 1, I think you need to slip me a 5 because I didn't know Santa was not real until now. So I have to book a session with my therapist. Thank you very much. Number 2, I want to know what the words were that you came up with, and I also want to know what that like West Side competing songs were. Like I want to kind of see like are they like, oh yeah, like you know in the streets like trying to out-sing each other. And then thirdly, we meant that your girlfriend was pretty hot and tempting. Hello. I'm aging myself from a 90s slang term. Okay, great. All right, so we are almost done. Isn't this sad? We only have 2 left. Now, we need to make sure that we are welcoming them, and then I'm going to tell you about some new events that are coming up too. Okay, so, drum roll please. Our next performer even this creative has art in her last name. So she is definitely a creative. She is an improviser, a therapist, which we need all of those. Especially if you're an improviser. Okay, and then she does therapeutic drumming, and she has told lots of stories. So I would like you to please give, and I think it's her first time telling a story here, let's just say as well. So let's please give a warm welcome to Jamie Arthur.
All the time I do something for the first time, I get excited about it. Sitting next to the person who's like in charge of the thing, has been in charge of the thing, I'm like, okay, how much of an ass did I make of myself this time? All right, so can you all hear me okay? Yeah. So this is about my first time in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. How much time did you do?
12 years.
Oh, then you're gonna know my references. But this was as a therapist. So this was not my first time working in this setting, which is important. Long story short, my background is in music therapy, which is also why I giggled at that. And I did the whole, fuck my shit, and went there, and worked here, worked there. Found myself, back when I was fresh out of grad school in Missouri, thank you, working a max security forensic state psych hospital, which basically meant these were the folks that wouldn't get out of prison, that they went to go, their end date came, and someone was like, oh no, here's this other facility, you can go live there. And so, put a pin in that knowledge. Now, fast forward a few years, back in Michigan, said, fuck Missouri, and now I'm back in Michigan, and doing my thing, have a master's, got my counseling license, so I'm like, okay, cool, now I'll actually get paid what I'm worth. And I go to prison. I don't know what I was thinking. So now, I'm actually in a prison this time. This prison, because I don't learn my lesson, was a level 4, 1 step under max, specifically for inmates that had too many cognitive, developmental, mental illnesses or impairments that left them unsafe, unable to exist safely in a general population setting. So I'm here, and I actually love this shit, but so I'm here, I'm getting unplugged. I'm breaking things. Which is another thing I did in prison. Anyways, so I'm here, it is my first day. So what do they do when it's your first day somewhere? You gotta shadow. You gotta follow someone else around. Now, this guy, I'm gonna call him Chad, because we all know someone named Chad, right? Just think about what you think about. Is that shit? Is anyone here named Chad? Sweet, okay, we're good. So you all know the type. Now, the funny thing is, Chad and I actually went to school together. Which is how I know what a good therapist Chad was. And I graduated a few years ahead of him and had a couple years of experience and education on him, but no, I'm gonna follow Chad around and learn how to do music therapy in prison. So I'm following Chad around and actually having a good time. He was a really good musician, I'm a drummer, like we were having a good time. We're running a group. He's teaching me how to do music therapy. So we're running a group, and these are inmates, like we've got, right, like high security inmates, and they've never seen me before. 12-year back there, what happens when a new female shows up? It's like, whoo, what is this? So everyone was coming out for music that day. So we have this big old group, and we're grooving. Now Chad, a little full of himself. Like, just, he was a good musician. He knew he was a good musician. He knew everyone else knew he was a good musician. So he is so into himself, just, yeah, wild thing. I don't even remember what it was, but he's just rocking out. And I'm drumming. And I look around, all the inmates are actually like, yeah, this is awesome. The officer is like, which usually they're the ones who are like, what the fuck is this? Officer was in the corner like, so I'm like, shit. I'm not a bad drummer. I would do a little roll all over and woo, you know, kind of thing. So we're grouped. This motherfucker, now test this one here, guns me down in group. Who knows what that means? No one. Great. He whipped his dick out. So he whips his dick, starts jerking off. He's in the front row right here, staring me down, making eye contact, just. And it's my first day. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I mean, let me get this straight. I know what I'm supposed to do here, but what am I supposed to do here? With Chad, like, yeah, it's a good day. And then Marvin over here, like, yeah. So I'm like kind of trying to nudge my co-leader. I'm like, He's like, yeah, this is great. He said, fuck, okay. This is nothing. And so the song ends. Dude bro still has his dick out. I'm like, sorry, gonna totally blue ball ya. Chad's like, you know, let's talk about the lyrics of the song. And I'm like, can I say something? Can I jump in the process a little bit? He's like, yeah, sure. Sir, explain to me why you think it is a good idea to have your dick out in the middle of the day room right now. Oh God. So he is so embarrassed, covers it up. The other inmates are like, yo, like, who's this bitch? It's her first day. She's already telling him off. Yeah, officer is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let me get this guy out of here. Chad is like, what? What happened? I missed it. So, not really moral. You can take away what you want, whether it's a naughty or nice story. Oh, but I meant to, I should go back and say that first job that I did for years in Missouri was with sex offenders. So, hence the, what the fuck are you doing? And while everyone else is like, oh my God. So I guess kind of a moral could be if you see a dick, call it out. But also, it earned me so much credit. Day one, inmates respect me, officers respect me, Chad looks like an idiot. I'm happy.
But notice that the front row is empty. I appreciate that very much. Glad to know. You know, I'm not often speechless. If anyone knows, like I said, everyone pretty much knows me. I'm not often speechless, so thank you. That was a good experience for me to be quiet. And I will never, ever look at a Chad the same way. That will be something else I have to process with my therapist. Thank you very much. Okay. So, before I bring on our last storyteller, I know! Have you all had a good time so far? I want you to know that we have some storytelling events coming up, so please mark these things down in your Google Calendar, whatever you want to do. Write it down, tattoo it, whatever. January 19th, we have a show coming up called Detour. That is the theme. I am asking for a couple more storytellers. If you know anybody, please let me know. Also, please come and support them. Because telling stories up here is brave, you know? Telling about yourself. All these stories that you heard tonight are true, so that's pretty fantastic. The second, we also have a February show coming up for those who have date night, and so that would be February 16th, and that one is called Smitten. Aww. All right, our last storyteller, I hope you're smitten with him. He is fantastic. I've seen him do some meme karaoke, Madonna rendition. Okay, last but not least, and thank you for giving me the material. This performer has hailed from New Orleans, has landed in Michigan, has been here for about a year, works in theater at U of M, MSU, and Washtenaw Community College. So please give it up for my dear friend, Foster.
Hello. I'm gonna sit. Is that gonna rock everyone. I'm just gonna sit because it's just the story feels fitting for sitting. So at least to start. So hi, I'm Foster and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Foster.
Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, if you've seen any pastiche, any show where there's a like, you know, it's that like the monotone ominous like hi Foster. So, hi, I'm Foster. I'm an alcoholic. There it is. Nice. But yes, I am in fact an alcoholic. I've told this story before. Telling this in a room full of people drinking is delicious. You know, when I heard about this topic, and it's the holidays, all I could think of was I had the pleasure, the privilege, of spending Christmas and New Year's in rehab. So, picture it. Lafayette, Louisiana, 2008. Golden Girls fantastic. Yes. I'm not going to go into a whole bio, but I grew up in New Orleans, a fabulous place to grow up if you're an alcoholic. Like, I gotta make the laundry, make a cocktail. So, go out, live my life, mostly in the north, and then I, slowly but surely become like a tried and true alcoholic. Go back to New Orleans, throw myself and my family, I'm in hell. And they put me in a rehab facility in Lafayette, Louisiana, which, I lived in Boston and Chicago, and I do theater, and so then I ended up in the Bayou. The only gay in the village, by the way. I'm gay as well. You will find out. So yeah, I lots to tell, but I'm just going to pluck highlights, particularly the very holiday-related ones. First, journey of coming out in rehab. Day 3. I'm off booze. My best friend Jim Beam is nowhere in sight. Liquid courage is nowhere. Fear of people creeping in. And I started feeling awkward. I'm the only gay if you watch Little Britain, the only gay in the village. So I'm sitting there, and it's me, only gay in the village. I start hearing this guy, who I can reveal to you was a heroin addict from Baton Rouge, start dropping the F-bomb. And not fuck, because is that even a bad word anymore? But the word that, starts with an F and rhymes with maggot or saget. I'm sitting here, he's just saying this word over and over and over again, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to spend 28 days with this person, and the time is now. So I very shakily and bravely say, excuse me. He's like, what? I'm like, could you not say that word? He's like, why? And I'm like, because I am one. I'm expecting a punch in the face. I'm expecting some verbal abuse. I'm expecting but you know what he says? He says, oh, I was using the word in the sense meaning that it's stupid and not in any reference to sexuality. I'm so sorry. Blown away, fell off of the donated couch. Shortly thereafter, all the guys wanted me to rate them. Rate. I teach articulation, so rate, very important. They're like, hey, Buster, hey, no, this is Bayou country, so they're just like, hey, Buster, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you give me? Oh my God, you get caught a 6. I don't know, you get caught a 10, you give me an idea what the hell share. So things were getting off good. I'm willing to spend the holidays in treatment. We had these wonderful people that worked there. There was Maggie, she was the head. So, the holidays, you sleep in, maybe you have some time off work. We got up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning to Maggie's voice and dinner at 6 a.m., time to make your beds. Small groups, meetings coming in. Christmas Day was wonderful. Little Walgreens socks filled with Hershey Kisses and calls to home with families saying, I'm like, how's how's Christmas? And they're like, we're crying a lot. And I'm like, great, I'm an awful person. But like slowly but surely, you know, you get to know these people, it's great. Fast forward to, oh my God, my counselor's name is Chad.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I hope he was, no, I'm sorry for you. I hope
He was cool.
okay.
He was cool. He was
Cool.
a trip. He'd be like, "All right, Foster. So the first step is all about like he was a musician. So I had
Well,
connection. He was just like, Foster. You know, your first step is your life is an apartment building and the barbecue pit's on fire and the bowl's out of it." He was great. Sidetrack. Sorry. So fast forward to New Year's. Vivid New Year's memory in treatment is, you know, we're sitting there was this great guy from Lake Charles, Louisiana, who was a meth addict, and he completely just made me embrace, like, you know, you never know, because he was huge. He was a very big meth addict, and I always pictured meth addict, Breaking Bad, rail thin, gaunt eyes, spotless kitchens, But I remember we're sitting there, it's New Year's Eve, we're not doing our usual, you know, going out and setting fires to everything, New Year's Eve, and he's sitting there in the couch, and he's just like, this is Lafayette 2008, he says, "No more wine in 2009. I'll be fine in 2009. Life will be sublime into shut up, Jared." My God. But it made me appreciate poetry in a whole new way. Last little holiday anecdote about Christmas in rehab. This is a trip. Is going back to the fabulous people that worked there. There was this one person who worked there whose name we never learned her name. I don't know. I mean, I was coming off of booze. I mean, for Christ's sake. But I never learned her actual name. Everyone always just called her Dolce because she had these fabulous Dolce & Gabbana glasses. Glasses, by the way. And she, to take us out of, you know, this was our outing. We would either go to Crystal Burger to get, we would do Crystal. We'd go to Crystal Burger and we would get like snacks, or we would go to the local high school rec center because they were off school, and we would either shoot hoops or walk around the track. I'm your traditional gay. I did not want to shoot hoops, so I walked around the track, usually by myself. But one day, I went with Dolce, and I just this is where I'll stand up. We're walking around the track, you know, and she's just like, you know, it was after Christmas. You know, I gave my baby everything for Christmas. I got these toys and that toys, I got a new doll, I got this. You know what she wanted to play with? What, Dolce? My dog's balls. I got all these toys, she unwrapped them, and she's just, the dog's on his back, and she's going, bah, 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 on the balls. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the reason to stay sober. I get to remember stories like this. Holy shit. So, yeah, I think I'll end this with, like, you know, if there's any moral to the story, I mean, anytime the holidays seem stressful or rough, because they do, regardless, on one hand think, well, I could have spent Christmas and New Year's in rehab, or just think, I don't know, take from it what you will. I will finish this with a surprise anecdote that the nice thing about being sober is that you can, like, look on the past, recall memories, it's fabulous. And one of my favorite memories from growing up, that's very naughty, is, where's my Catholic friend that talked about going to Catholic high school? Oh, you'll appreciate. So I remember being 9. I also finished with this story because it didn't involve drinking, because I was 8. I wasn't like that cool of an alcoholic. But we're in church, we get to the pew, we look at the song sheet. My parents are laughing their asses off. And I'm like, what's so funny? And they're like, you can't hear it. No, you won't possibly understand. I was like, what's so funny? I just want to know. So they're like, well, let's just show him, even though he won't get it. they passed me the song sheet. They're like, we're laughing at something on this sheet. And the thing I remember is looking at the top of the sheet. The first hymn to be sung was, "It came upon a midnight clear. The Xerox had wiped out the T on it." And when I remember that, sober, I laughed my ass. Hey, thanks for letting me share.
I don't need that standing anymore. I don't need that. Let's give a large round of applause for all of our storytellers. I actually went back through. We started off with Red Hat Ladies. We then went. Hold on, I wrote this up. Hold on. Oh, we then went to Kohl's. And then we went to.
Use the mic.
Oh, I know, I will. We went to Kohl's, and then we went to making out in the middle of a van. We went to therapy. We went to, in a prison. And then we went to rehab. And then we also, I forgot to mention, we also taught in the school. So we did a lot of naughty and nice things in all settings and all things. So I really do want to recognize the storytellers for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Also recognize the fabulous audience for coming out tonight and supporting them. Please also give it up to Pete and Detective. And also your boyfriend, if you're too well, you're definitely getting cold. Thank you so much. Have a good night.